everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking, and what seems like forever ago, back last summer at Gen Con, I was walking around with my wife, and we were checking out different games, and I came across my friends at Vesuvius Media. They had a booth, and we struck up a conversation, we started talking about games, and one of the gentlemen that I'm really good friends with, or at least I think so anyway, he said, "You have a daughter, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I think she'd really like this." And he just handed me this game. And this is called Dwarves Fall. And it was this little unassuming, cute little box. And I was like, "Well, what kind of game is it?" He's like, "You get to make like a little castle, dwarven kingdom. And you get to like kill dragons, and it's a worker placement game, and like you collect gems and stuff like that." And I kind of looked at it, and it had these like cool square cards, and I'm a sucker for these square cards. I don't know what the deal is, but I always liked those, and I really liked the art and the way that it looked, and I mean I even liked the goofball art there in the back, and I figured my daughter and I would enjoy it a great deal. So they were kind enough to give me a copy, and so I brought it home. And this is one of the like games that I first played when I got home because I was excited to play with my daughter. And she and I played it. We really liked it. And I brought it and I played it with my game group, and my game group liked it as well. As happens, like once you play a game 2 or 3 times, you know, with Cult of the New kind of thing, I've always got new games coming in. You know, I just kind of, as far as my gaming group went, this kind of fell off to the wayside a little bit. It still gets busted out every once in a while, but this game is, I had to go get this off my daughter's shelf for this video because this is on her game shelf in her room, and this is one of her favorite games to play with me. So therefore, then, it's one of my favorite games, at least right now, because my daughter asked to play it with me. But anyway, regardless, this is Dwarves Fall, and so, like, you can see, like, the 7. I'm assuming that's what it's called. There's a little 7 there, because you get 7 dwarven meeples that are your workers that you're going to be placing on the board, and so 7 dwarves, ha 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 ha. So, but that's where it gets the name. And it is a very, very challenging game, but it is a very, very simple game to learn and teach, which was like absolutely perfect for me and my daughter to play. But I'll talk more about that in my final thoughts, and I'll probably allude to it a few more times, but let me show you how the game is played, and then we'll come back here and I'll tell you why I have a lot of fun with this one. Alright, cool. Alright, so here we go. This is Dwarves Fall. Now, to begin the game, each player is going to get a deck of these kingdom tiles. Each deck is exactly the same, and I'll talk about that more in just a second, but I want to talk about this stuff up here quickly, and also show you these super cute little dwarf meeples. Look, they got a little hat on. Isn't that awesome? Anyway, so these 2 strips of cards up here are 2 things. One, these are the gems. Gems, you're going to be collecting, your dwarves are going to be going to their mines, and they're going to be collecting these gems. And the gems then are in turn, well, they're worth some victory points alone. So like if you see like at the top of like here, you can see like this is going to be worth 2 victory points up there. But more importantly, what you'll be using your gems for is turning them in for these trading goals that are right here. If you say have, like these 3 green gems, you'll be able to trade in, and then you'll get this trading goal, which is worth 8 victory points. Of course, you know, that one's a little bit easier. This one's worth double the amount, but you need to have, you know, 2 red, 2 blue, and 1 green. Now, this comes in a little deck of them here, and as you probably can guess, if you complete these trading goals, and you're going to be replacing one from the deck, these also trigger the end of the game. As soon as somebody has completed 3 of these, then you have one more round, and then you total up the points and see who wins. Now, you might have noticed these over here. These are the secret goals. You'll be getting one of these at the beginning of the game. You keep this, obviously, secret. You can reveal it whenever you've achieved what you're supposed to be doing, usually at the end of the game to kind of show that you have some extra points. By having at least 1 gem of each kind, 7 victory points. You must have defeated 2 beasts or more, 7 victory points. And I'll explain beasts here in just a little bit. And finally, like, you must have at least 5 emeralds, and then 7 victory points. So, you know, just a little secret way that you can get some extra victory points, and then maybe, you know, somebody who thinks they're going to win the game will turn out losing because of the fact that you've completed that secret goal. Now, finally, we have ogres. Ogre cards are ways that you can mess with other people. And once again, I'll explain how you get these in once I show you how the kingdom works. But these are just different ogres that will do certain things for you. Swap an enemy dwarf of a target tile with another one of yours on the board. So like these dwarves are your workers. This is a worker placement game, as I said. You'll be able to swap them around. Here's like ambush. Remove all dwarfs from the target tile. Look at those big meanies there. I like that guy there in the background, all grinning, looking evil. Here's a thief. Steal a random gem from an enemy. So these ogre cards have special abilities that you can use, and they don't actually take actions. On your turn, you'll be using 3, possibly 4 actions each turn, but you can use ogre cards without taking an action to do so. So anyway, so on to the kingdom tile. So this is a game where you and the other players will be creating the board and creating the dwarven kingdoms as you go. One person will start and they'll put a card down, and then you'll build off of that card. So all of these cards, probably the most important card here is your castle. And the castle card is the only one that's going to look different from another person. So like you can see, this is the yellow castle. Let me see if I can find like the green castle here. And then like if you're going to be the green castle, you can see here, obviously there's a little green instead of yellow. But that's the only real difference. Everybody else, you're all going to have the exact same card in your hand. And what your goal is, you'll notice that there is like a little wall here. What your goal is that by the end of the game, you want to have a little kingdom. And so you're going to want, and you can twist these around, these cards can go any which way, but you want to build off of that wall. And so like, as you go, like, and so let me just see here, so like, here I'm just going to build a quick little kingdom just so I can show you how this works. So, as you go, you'll be, like, hopefully, because as an action, you can play one of your kingdom cards down. Also as actions, you can place your dwarves onto tiles, or you can move a dwarf from one tile to one that's next to it. But I'll talk about all of that here in just a quick moment. So let's just finish off this little kingdom here, like so. Alright, so you can notice you have a wall that goes all the way around, alright? So if the game ended, the yellow player with their castle would be able to then claim, this is my kingdom, and each one of these has a victory point total in the corner of the card. Now you might notice this particular, the ogre one, actually is worth -2 points, because you have ogres in the tavern within your kingdom. So that's not always a good thing, but hey, so you might be in a situation where if you could somehow build this like so, you'd have it outside of the kingdom. Of course, the thing is that other players are able, on their turn, to place cards of like the same kind within your kingdom, and they can mess with it. So you can go like, so green could place their tavern like so, and all of a sudden now you're getting that -2 points. There's nothing to be gained. Anybody can go to anyone. So like if this, for whatever reason, like it was like that, and this particular like tavern was out here, anybody can place workers on these. It isn't because remember, they aren't owned by anybody. The castle's the one that has a color. So you could go and place those on anyone. So you might not want to have that ogre within your kingdom, but somebody might mess with you and cause, because of placing a card on top of it, all of a sudden there it is. Now, how do you prevent that from happening? Well, one of the powers, and I'm going to go through some of the powers that you can do. Most common powers are just going to, placing having at least 2 of your own color of dwarf on a place that has like this mine for red gem. If you had 2 dwarves on there, you then activate it at the end of your turn. You have to activate a spot that you have enough dwarves on, just so you know. So if you have 2 dwarves on there, you can't say, well, I'm going to wait and I'm going to take them off later. You can't sit on a spot and own it and not prevent somebody else from taking it. So at the end of your turn, you'd have to take these 2 back and then collect a red gem. Now, normally you'd want to do that anyway, but the rules state specifically that you have to take the action if you can do it. So that's the collection. So those, like a red gem, a blue gem, a yellow gem collection, and a green gem collection work exactly the same. So then there's a green gem collection as well. And you'll be doing a lot of that, trying to make sure that you get the gems into your hands so you can use them to finish off these trade goals, because obviously those are worth a ton of points and they're very important. So down here, however, at the castle, if you get your 2 dwarves on a castle, you can take an action that is called dig. And when you dig, what you can do is you can take the top card and put it on the bottom and then reveal the one that's on top. You know, you can't do that if there's dwarves on there, and for that matter, you can't put a card on another card if there's a dwarf on there. If there's like a dwarf sitting there and he's sitting, you can't, you know, bury him under the ground, and he doesn't, you know, automatically pop to the top. So if you are also like this, you also can't, you know, dig and put one underneath. That's a very important thing to remember. But using the dig power is very important at being able to like make sure that the cards that you want to appear are there and can be used. Now, there's a couple other cards that are within this deck that you miss. Oh, and I should mention, this is the tavern itself. Like this is this tavern here. You'll notice that this little, I shouldn't say this is the tavern. This is the trading post. You'll notice that there's these 2 little like switch things here. That allows you to actually do the trade where you trade in your gems to get one of these trade. You don't just automatically, as soon as you have the gems, get to do it. You have to actually act on the trading post to do so. But over here, if you place, you know, 2 of your dwarves, and I should mention as well, you need all like 3 of your dwarves here. You'll notice that there's 3 dwarves there. You'll notice that all 3 dwarves are needed for this red one, and 2 dwarves are needed for the blue, and 3 dwarves are needed for the yellow, but you get 2 cards. And just one last thing, I apologize, I probably misspoke there, but 2 dwarves are needed to activate the green as well. So you just keep that in mind. But if you 2 dwarves here can activate getting an ogre, and then you just take the top card from the ogre deck. Now the ogre cards do count against your hand limit. Your hand size is 9, and that in your starting kingdom tiles do count against that as well. So that kind of spurs you to want to build up your kingdom and not just act in other people's kingdoms as well, because you want to be able to have more cards in your hand. So and then, you know, obviously the gems count against your hand size as well. So, you know, in order to actually get like something that actually costs 5 gems, you need to make sure you get your kingdom built up for it. It's a nice little timing mechanism, and I like the hand size limit is something that is very important. Actually, it's a very important part of the mechanism because of the fact that you have to, you know, balance both building your dwarven kingdom, but also, you know, collecting your resources as well. Very, 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 very clever in this game, actually. But so the 2 other cards that I was going to mention and talk to are the beasts. So one is a dragon. If you put a dragon in somebody's kingdom, then what happens is that you can't collect anything from the gems. Basically, if you do successfully collect a gem in a spot, the dragon steals it and takes it, because dragons love treasure, right? So in order to defeat it, you have to have 5 dwarves on every single spot of the dragon, and you have to have all the same color. So if you had a situation where you were green here, and you had those 2 on there, but there was this pesky little red dwarf and somebody was just leaving it on there, which is perfectly viable, but of course they're using up a worker for doing so, you need to come up with a way to get rid of that guy, and that's where the ogre cards, where they can kick people off of cards and things like that, or swap dwarves, you know, that's where that comes in. That's how you take care of that. So once you get 5 dwarves on a spot, you then slay the beast, and then you get to keep that beast card, and it's going to be worth 3 victory points at the end of the game. This doesn't count against your hand limit. You just put it down by your kingdom, and you have it there. All right, so then the last card here is the Frost Giant. And the Frost Giant is just like any other card. You just build it and place it in somebody's kingdom by doing so. And I should mention that playing the kingdom cards, it's just playing a kingdom card. It isn't, it doesn't cost you anything. It's one of your actions that you have. You get 3 actions, as I said, but if your castle is actually out and present, you get 4 actions. Now, there is a way that you can get knocked down to 3 actions when you have the castle card out, and that's if the Frost Giant is in the kingdom of your choice. So in this case, you know, here's this Frost Giant, he's in the kingdom, he's bugging you, and what he does is he takes away the dig action that the person gets that has the castle in that kingdom, and he also takes away that extra action. So then the same thing happens here with taking care of the Frost Giant. You need to have 5 dwarves of the same color. Once you have 5 dwarves of the same color, then you can kill it off. He's worth 3 victory points, maybe possibly worth extra points because of your secret goal. And then you get your action back, and you get your dig action back for your castle. So there you go. The game continues until one person has completed 3 trading goals. As soon as that happens, you have one last turn to give everybody the equal amount of turns in the game. Then you total up your victory points. You get victory points for your goals, your secret goals, your any gems that you have left over, and then obviously then you total up the total victory points of your kingdom as well. If 2 castles are in the same kingdom, like they have a situation where they have a wall around them, and both castles have that kingdom, then both castles score the points. It isn't something where only one gets it or you split it in half. You'll both get the total points. So there can be a little bit of cooperation there, but you probably don't want to let somebody else get points if you can help it. So there you go. That is Dwarves Fall. As I said, I really enjoyed playing this game, especially with my daughter. But let me talk more about that in my final thoughts. Alright, thanks for taking the time to learn how to play Dwarves Fall. I hope that was pretty straightforward. Now, they have changed the game a little bit since I got this copy. The second edition, as I said, is going to have, it has some expansions already that they're going to be including with the new edition. It's going to have, like, it has that match, which you don't need. I mean, you really don't need that. I mean, it is nice to have, like, a play mat, if you will. I could maybe have, I could make a case to not use it. I mean, because it's, like, going to be, like, a big square. If you can go to Kickstarter, you can see it. It's going to be a big square. I think it would like maybe constrict movement, because what if you wanted to just keep building off in one direction kind of thing. But you know, those things are nice to have if that's what you want. You know, so and I think they're going to go with like no words whatsoever on any of the cards. So it can be completely language independent, and then that you can just get the rules that you need as far as the game is concerned. Now, I made several comments as far as my daughter and I really enjoying it. I'm really not going to touch on that too much more. Basically because if you've got, I'm lucky enough, like I said, I've been in this hobby now for about a decade, and about as long as my daughter has been alive. And you know, and I've watched her kind of grow in the hobby. Now my son is just starting to get into it. Like he sees his big sister and I playing these games, and he comes over and he'll want to watch, and then I'll like have him help me. You know, like one of those things. But it's been really fun over the last 2 or 3 years, kind of watching my daughter grow, and kind of really and start enjoying this hobby that I really enjoy. And I didn't push her into it. I mean, it was one of those things where like she just sees me doing it a lot, so like she would just want to take part and have fun with it. And I'm really excited to have her be part of it as well. Now, there's a big difference, however, between, you know, I said I wasn't going to talk too much about this, but I'm gonna a little bit here. There's a big difference between like having my daughter come and watch me play, and she kind of plays with me, if you will. And when you kind of turn that corner and you teach them how to play the game, and then you make them learn the game and play against you, and you and that person kind of, you know, I play against her like I play against my friends, where we're really trying to just do the best we can and beat the other person. One of the best feelings I've ever had in my entire life was when I knew for a fact that I did not pull any punches whatsoever with my 7-year-old daughter playing a strategy board game, and she won. I mean, she flat out won, and and so I really enjoyed the fact that like she was able to be very proud of her victory, and I was able to be proud of my victory as well. Because she ends up beating me a lot, so when I beat her, it makes me feel good. But so this is a game that she's really taken a shine to. She really gets the kind of the spatial recognition of the different castles, and I think as a 2-player game, it really shines. As far as the 2 people kind of, it's like a little seesaw of the 2 different kingdoms kind of battling back and forth. And you never seem to be able to have enough time to do all the things you want to do. I mean, if you're just sitting there trying to get these tiles out there and getting these workers out there, if you're too worried about, digging and like making sure your kingdom's bigger than the other person's or something like that, then you're not actually going and you're not collecting these orders, and so you're not, actually moving towards the end of the game, and all of a sudden you turn around, somebody's been collecting those and they get a bunch of points, and you're just like, oh, I'm going to lose because I've been worried too much about getting my little tiles out there as well. So, I mean, it has those wonderful kind of ways, and I will say there's different routes to victory, and I think that's one of the things always that people are looking for. It isn't one of those things where, okay, we'll just make sure you build a 7-spot kingdom and you'll be fine kind of thing. No, you kind of have to kind of develop and go in different directions and figure out how the game is flowing, and then go in the way that's going to, you know, garner that victory for you. Now that ties into the whole thing of playing with my gaming group. Now it has been a while, I'll fully admit. It's been about a month or so since I played this with my gaming group. But I mean, we've played it, you know, many times at this point, and it is a very, very good 4-person game, and even 3-person. But I mostly played it. I played it 4-person and 2-person. With a four-person game, obviously, there's a lot more chaos going on because of the fact that, like, you are all kind of fighting over the same area. You know, I should mention that the first person, obviously, the first person to put a tile down puts it on there, and then everybody builds off of that tile. This is in a situation where somebody, you know, puts a tile down here and somebody puts a tile down here, and maybe organically eventually you connect. No, once the first tile is down, you have to build off of that tile, and then the other tile gets put down, then you build off of that, and so on and so forth. So, you know, the map does grow from a central, like, bud, if you will, at the very beginning. Which, once again, ties back in to the whole thing of, like, that's how the kind of grows in a kind of a chaotic pattern, if you will. If you're trying to, you know, carve out your little kingdom with your castle and trying to do what you want to do, you know, it just makes sense for the other players. And not even if they're trying to, that just because of the fact that they're trying to do the exact same thing, you're going to be stepping on each other's toes. And I think that's where, like, the cool conflict and the cool interactivity between you and the other players starts happening. And then when your turn comes around, using your 3 and possibly 4 actions, and once again, just not enough, you know, you end up in situations where the tough decisions start to manifest themselves. And that's, I think, in a lot of ways with these strategy games, what myself and a lot of other people are looking for those tough decisions. I want it to be difficult for me to figure out exactly what I want to do at this particular point, at this particular time in the game. And I'll fully admit, I was very surprised at that. You know, those situations occurred as often as they did in a game that, admittedly, kind of looks like a little cutesy kids game a little bit. I mean, and that's not a knock on the art. I really like the art. I like the look. I mean, this silly little dwarf holding up the gem or whatever. I mean, I like the way this looks. If it didn't look like this, and it was, like, you know, very gritty and tough, my daughter wouldn't have given it a second glance, and then I wouldn't have played it a bunch with her. So, but don't let the cover fool you. There's a lot of game to be played here, and a lot of cool, fun decisions to be made as well. So there you go. That is Dwarves Fall. If you have any questions about it whatsoever, please ask away. I'll try to answer those as best as I can. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day.